You guys hear this okay? Everybody can hear me? Way in the back? You don't want to miss a piece of this. You don't want to miss any of it. Yeah, I got the thumbs up? All right, I know it's warm in here, but I'm going to put my jacket on because you guys took the time to come see me. I'm going to look nice. I may shed it later, though. I'm not going to go Adam Levine on you, but I may go. Just says Oak Ridge right here, Oak Ridge. Looks great. Looks great, trust me. Well, listen, I want to say a few quick thank yous. I want to thank Jennifer for hosting me tonight. Jennifer's the owner of the bistro, the pretty lady behind the counter there. If you've not been here before, you don't know Jennifer. She's like the nicest lady, hardest working woman in Oak Ridge, and the food's great. And yeah, she is. And I don't want to sound like a commercial, but if you're not coming here a lot, you probably should. That's all I'm saying. All right? She's great, so thank you, Jennifer. And then I want to thank my friend Roger for providing the sound for tonight. Woo, Roger, yeah, all right, Rog. So Roger is a golf buddy of mine, and then we actually also play music together sometimes. I play the drums, he plays guitar, and I'm going to pause here because you're thinking, really? Is there anything this guy can't do? He plays drums, he does stand-up comedy? I don't know, pretty special. That's what my mom's been telling me. And it must be true because Melissa says it too, but she's more like, oh, you're special. So it's a little bit different with her. But Roger and I, we get together, we jam, we have a great time. And I think musically, I think we've got some skill, but we have yet to conquer a song from beginning to end because we like to drink and play. And I have found that drinking is not cohesive with the learning. And we've yet to finish the song from beginning to end. But if you want to hear a 12-minute version of like Sweet Home Alabama, you should come by. We'll rock it for you. It's good. It's good. And I mentioned also that Roger is a golf buddy of mine, and he's a very good golfer. And I've just gotten pretty good at golf in the last couple years. And I say that because it's relevant, because I've been playing for 24 years. Yeah, so I've just gotten good in the last 2 years. And but I can remember when I started playing golf, I was playing in a work tournament, and I had never played a lot of golf, and I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I'm going to take some lessons, I'm going to go to the driving range, I'm going to nail this. So I took 3 lessons, I went to the driving range, I show up at the tournament, and I played with a guy that was a great golfer, a guy named Brad. I said, Brad, I want you to watch me, and I want you to tell me what you think, and just be honest. He's like, all right. So we finished the first hole, I'm like, all right, what do you think? He's like, you know, you might want to think about tennis. Tennis is a nice sport. I mean, it's cardiovascular. I'm like, really? That's your motivation? But you know, I didn't let that bring me down. And I kept playing golf. And 24 years later, I'm pretty good at it. So let that be an inspiration to all of you. 22 years from now, you can be pretty good at something. You don't know. You don't know. But I also, of course, want to thank my beautiful wife, Melissa, who always supports me no matter what I do. And when I came to her with this idea, instead of saying, you know, like, oh, you can do stand-up comedy, yeah. So have you been taking your medication? Do you need your meds? Now she's like, yeah, you should totally do that. Let's do that. I'm like, all right. But I really appreciate that. And I want to thank everyone coming out too. I have a lot of friends here tonight. My friend Kurt here came all the way from Winston-Salem to see me, which I appreciate. Kurt is actually a fishing buddy of mine. I'm not that great at fishing, but I will tell you, when we fished, I was the only one that caught the dentist. I know that. How's the hand, Kurt? You all right? Still able to practice? All right, good. But listen, I don't want you to feel pressure just because you're a friend or a neighbor that you need to laugh and applaud more than usual. I mean, it'd be the nice thing to do, but I don't want you to feel any pressure. But if you're here in the Oak Ridge area and I don't hear it, I can't promise that I might not call New York China and start placing some orders for you this week. I can't make that. Now, so for those of you who aren't from the area, there's a Chinese restaurant down the road, and if you place an order and you don't pick it up, apparently they print your receipt out with your name on it and they put it on the wall of shame. And I don't think you guys want to be on the wall of shame, do you? Yeah. All right. That's great. But I do appreciate you guys coming out. And so, you know, a lot of my friends have asked me, they've said, so what inspired you to do this? And I'm like, you know, I don't know that I have a great answer for that. You know, they're like, this is drugs? Are you doing mushrooms? Are you doing shrooms? No, not on mushrooms, not doing drugs. You know, and then it's like, I don't know, was I sitting around one day and I was just like, you know, I need something else in my life. I think I need to try something I know nothing about, that I've never done before, but when I do it publicly with the potential to humiliate myself in front of friends and neighbors. Stand-up comedy, I'm going in. That's it, let's do it. Yeah, so that was, I don't know what my motivation was. But you know, it could be we've been watching a lot of the Marvelous Miss Maisel. You guys watch that show? She's a housewife. It's a good show, guys. You can admit it. It's okay. It's okay. And then coincidentally, Melissa and I have been going back and watching all the Seinfeld episodes from like season 1 on. And I'm like, I don't know, he's thin and neat. I'm thin and neat. Seems to have gone pretty well for him. I mean, I think he's doing okay. So, but if you think about it though, there is no formal training for comedy or for being a comedian. There's no formal training for it. Like if you want to be a doctor, you got to go to medical school. If you're not a teacher, you got to study education. It's not like when you go to a comedy club and they're like, show us your credentials. You're like, all right, yeah, well, obviously I took all 4 years of comedy in high school, 2 years of Spanish, 4 years of comedy. And then I majored in comedy. And no, it's just, you just got to say like, you know what, I think I can do this, I'm going for it. And so here I am. So enjoy the ride. I think it's going to go at a nice pace tonight. I tend to talk kind of fast, and I've been sitting here drinking coffee for the last 3 hours. So I think we'll be right on pace. Yeah, I think it'll go well. But I really do love the Oak Ridge area. This is a great place to live. Melissa and I moved here about 7 years ago. And you know, one thing I hope never changes about the Oak Ridge area is the Grins and Gripes section of the newspaper. You guys? Yeah, familiar with that? Yeah. And by the way, Roger, you didn't know you'd be part of the bit tonight, did you? Yeah. Buckle up, buddy. It's early. So Grins and Gripes, and by the way, I'm not picking on the Northwest Observer. I love that paper. They're great people if you've ever met them. But there are some gems in the Grins and Gripes. For those of you that are not from the Oak Ridge area, the Grins and Gripes section, you can send a little note in. I think it's 40 words or less, and you can say something that's a grin, something's positive, or a gripe. So it could be, thanks to Joe who helped change my tire at the Food Lion. It could be, shame on Waste Management for not picking up my recycling. You know, it can be anything. But I gotta tell you, there's been some gems in there lately, and one that comes to mind that was my favorite was the person who said a grin about, thanks for Jared at the Subway in Stokesdale for keeping an eye on my kids. Yeah, get that? Get the Jared in the Subway? Yeah. If you're here tonight, you should try this because that's comedy gold right there. They actually had to print an apology about that because they didn't quite catch that. But another one of my favorites, and this one goes a little further back, but there was a pair of shoes hanging over the power line on Bunch Road on the way to Northwest High School, and it was there forever. I remember Melissa and I were like, man, I don't know what kind of industrial strength shoelaces they put on those shoes, but man, they have been up there a while. And someone wrote a grin, and it said, to the shoes on Bunch Road, your perseverance and inspiration has been an inspiration to us all. That was another one. But you know, there's one in there lately that I didn't think was appropriate. I mean, I'm not saying that it was a gripe. I'm just saying it was unnecessary. It was about the hog jaw being too salty at the Food Line. Anyone catch that? Yeah. Listen, people, hog jaw's a gamble, okay? You just roll the dice with the hog jaw. Sometimes it's salty, sometimes it's not so salty, all right? That's just how it is with hog jaw. And listen, I think I might know who wrote that gripe, but they're here tonight. I don't want to call them out. Rod Miller. But I like the Grins and Gripes. But anyway, so I grew up in a town a little bit bigger than Oak Ridge, a little bit smaller than Greensboro, but not anywhere as nice as this area. I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, right on the lake. And Erie is often referred to as the Mistake on the Lake, which is the kind of banner you want for your hometown. Where are you from, Mistake on the Lake? And I had a friend of mine whose grandfather, kind of crotchety guy, I remember one time he said, hey Roberts, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania. That's nothing to be proud of. I wasn't waving a pride banner, I was just saying, just answering your question. But Erie's known for a lot of things. It's known for huge amounts of snow. They always have record snowfall. Last December, they had 10 feet of snow in the month of December. They're also known for the pollution in the lake. You may remember it's the only Great Lake that caught fire. Yeah, there's a banner to wear too. Yeah, and you know, I swam in that lake growing up, and I think I'm fine, but Melissa seems to think it explains a few things. I don't know. It may explain why I've been getting this third ear kind of growing in here. I don't know what that's about. It's not ear. It's a nipple. I'm kidding. No, it's none of those things. None of those things. But Erie's actually very pretty. The summer there, July 14th through the 19th. Yeah, if you're ever there that time of year, great time to be there. Beautiful time of year. But you know, having grown up in a small town like that, I had some kind of nice small town experiences. And one of those experiences was I was a paper boy. Do you guys remember paper boys? And I don't know, maybe they had paper boys in the big city, but I know they had them in Erie, and I was a paper boy, so was my brother. And a real character builder for kids. You know, I can remember when I had my dirt bike. When you have a dirt bike when you're a kid, you want the pear seat. You don't want the nerdy banana seat. But I had to have the banana seat because my stupid newspaper saddle would have to go over it. It's all banging into the tires. And then in the winter, we'd have to carry them around in sleds. And yeah, it was a real character builder. But let me tell you, there's one thing you don't want to happen when you're a paper boy, particularly in the winter, is you don't want to have an extra paper. Because they didn't just print extras. If you had 28 houses on your route, you got 28 papers. If there's one in your bin when you get back, either they messed up or you forgot someone. And if you forgot someone, you have to go back out and deliver that paper. And sure enough, December, freezing cold. And by the way, it was a Sunday. Sunday is the worst day for papers. You guys can remember this, right? The Sunday paper is the thickest paper, right? It has all the coupons, has the inserts in it. Well, apparently in the mid-'70s, they didn't have technology to actually insert the papers, so we would go to this cold metal box, take out our bale, and there would be 6 other bales of inserts, and we had to stand out there in the freezing cold and put them all in the paper. I mentioned this was a character builder? Yeah, it's a real character builder. But sure enough, I get home from my route, it's freezing cold, I unlayer the 7 layers of clothes that I have on to essentially survive, and I sit down to a nice warm breakfast, and the phone rings, and it's Miss Williams, and she didn't get her paper. I'm like, son of a... So I proceed to put all my clothes on, which are now wet, by the way, and trek all the way to Mrs. Williams' house, who, by the way, was not a pleasant woman. Not a pleasant woman to begin with, but I'm a loyal paper boy. I'm honoring the creed. So I show up at her house, and she had me put the newspaper in a bin on her porch. And I get to the porch, and I look in the bin, and there's a paper in it, and it's that day's paper. I'm like, huh, well, this is interesting. So I ring the bell. And I'm like, Miss Williams, you said you didn't get your paper today, but it's sitting right there in the bin. She's like, oh my gosh, it was so cold I must not have seen it. Thanks. Takes the paper, shuts the door in my face. Yeah. So I peed in her yard every day for the rest of my childhood. Yeah. I don't know if I did any harm. I'd like to think I killed some plants or some grass, but at the very least, it made me feel better. It made me feel a lot better. So the other kind of small town experience we've had is we would go play down at the railroad tracks. Yeah, the railroad tracks. Because why wouldn't you want your child miles away from you playing at a railroad track with a speeding locomotive that can't stop, homeless people? That's where we were. That's where we spent our days. And we did the usual things. We would put pennies on the tracks, and the train would run it over and it flattens a penny. No one lost a finger or an arm, which was a miracle. But I gotta tell you, we stumbled on some good fortune one day that you just can't make this kind of thing up. So apparently a freight car that had boxes of Tussie cream deodorant in it, it all fell off the car and just spilled all over the tracks, just Tussie cream deodorant everywhere. And we're like, what is this? So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Tussie cream deodorant. It still exists. I Googled it. It is what it says. It's cream deodorant, Tussie brand. Today it comes in a little plastic jar. Back then it came in a glass jar. And we figured out pretty quickly that when you throw a glass jar of cream deodorant against a railroad track, it explodes awesomely. And hence began the Tussie Wars. Yeah, we would sit there and just pitch deodorant at each other and it'd blow up on the tracks. It was one of the better times I've ever had, frankly. I think about top 5 things like marriage, birth of my kids, Tussie Wars. It was good times. It was great times. So I remember we come home one day and my dad's like, my brother and I's like, why do you guys smell so nice? What's up? I thought you were playing at the railroad tracks. We're like, yeah, man, there's this Tussie. We were throwing, he's like, really? He's like, hey, that's good deodorant. You should bring some home. We're like, really? You didn't want to spend $2 at the store, Dad? You'd rather have your kids dig it out of the dirt for you? Like, it wasn't in boxes, but hey, we did it. So we come home and we bring the Tussie cream deodorant home. And the jars are all dirty, obviously, so he just decides to spoon it into a new jar, throws the dirty jar out, and leaves it sitting on the kitchen table. Well, my mom was a nurse, and she worked a lot of odd shifts, and she woke up from her nap, and she sees a jar on the counter with a spoon on it. Do you see where this is going? It goes where you think it's going. Yeah, so I don't know what she was thinking. Apparently she thought it was ricotta cheese or something. But she took a big bite of it, I know that. She took a big spoonful of Tussie cream deodorant. Yeah. And that went over great. That went over real great. She's like, really? Really, Jack? You didn't want to just buy deodorant for $2? You got the kids digging it out of the trash, now I got to eat it? He's like, who eats a jar of deodorant? It's just sitting there. But yeah, but speaking of that, when I grew up, we were not wealthy by any means, but we weren't poor. I mean, we were middle class. My dad was a college-educated businessman. My mom was a nurse. We lived in a very small house. We never had cool cars. More about that later. But man, we were thrifty with a lot of things. At least it felt like, to me, I was at the brunt of it. And the first one that comes to mind is, I mentioned on Sundays that papers, it's the worst day. So if it's really cold, if it's like single digits, my dad would drive us. And we had this blue Ford station wagon. You remember the wagons with the wood panels? It didn't have the wood panels. And I'm not saying that's a cool car. I'm just saying that's the coolest car we ever had. And yeah, it went way down from there. But sure enough, we go out one day, and it's like a V. And I'm like, so Dad, what's up with the car? And the frame had literally rusted in half. The car just broke in half. He's like, looks like we'll be taking Mom's car today. So he had to go out and shop for a car, a nice used car for us. And he comes back, by the way, this is around 1976, and he comes back with a 1962 peach-colored Rambler. You ever hear of a Rambler? Yeah, some of you have. Good for you. Good for you. That car was ridiculous. My mom was like, what the hell is that? He's like, it's a Rambler. I'm like, what? You gonna pick me up for practice in this thing? I mean, it was so ridiculous. Not only did it not have a radio or a cassette player in it, it just had a drawing of one. It said AM FM. It had dials. It even had buttons, but they weren't functional. Yeah, no, that was the Rambler. Yeah, I'm still haunted by that car. Yeah, but don't worry, he traded it in for the Dodge Dart. Yeah, so I went on my first date in that car. Yeah. I can remember with my learner's permit, my dad's like, don't go too fast, let's lock it in at 65. I'm like, yeah, we're going to have to be going down a pretty steep hill for me to get this thing much above 65, Dad. I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, still haunted by that. But yeah, so another area that I felt they skimped on a little was clothes. Well, actually, I'll tell you, the first one was a bike. So growing up, bikes were a big deal, right? We rode our bikes everywhere. How do you think we got to the railroad tracks to throw deodorant at each other? We had to have a bike, right? So getting a 10-speed bike was a big deal. My dad, instead of going out and buying a 10-speed bike, just took my older sister's bike, welded a bar on it, painted it black. It's like, here's your new bike. I'm like, that's not a new bike. That's not a new bike, Dad. It's your new bike. So all my friends have Schwinn's and Huppies, and I got the Roberts private label bike. But that wasn't the worst of it. The worst was the clothes. So when I was in late elementary, probably middle school-ish, the big fashion trend there was Levi corduroys. I don't know if you were around for that. But all the cool kids had them in lots of colors. They had tan and blue and gray and green. And I got one pair. I got a tan pair. And I loved those corduroys. They were great. I wore those out. But that was it. She wasn't splurging on jeans. We don't want to get Levi's jeans. So she goes to the Hills discount department store, my mom, and she comes home with some jeans, the Big Yank brand jeans. I'm not making that up. Big Yank jeans. And I'm looking at them like, Mom, what the hell are these? She's like, they're jeans. I'm like, Big Yank? You didn't want to splurge on Wrangler or Lee? Not that those are cool, by the way, but they're not going to get me beat up like the Big Yank jeans are. But thankfully, the only place that said Big Yank was where that leather tag was right here, so I immediately cut it off, and I had private label jeans to go with my private label bike. But that wasn't the worst. The worst was the hand-me-downs. Now, I don't mind hand-me-downs from my older brother. Like, I would have killed for that AC/DC black and black shirt, but he was not giving that back. He may still be wearing that shirt. I don't know, but it was not giving it up. It was the hand-me-downs from my sister. Those are the ones that haunt me the most. Yeah. So there's a song by the Bare Naked Ladies on their children's album. It's kind of funny, and it's called My Big Sister. And the first line of that song is, I like my big sister, but I don't want to wear her clothes. And it may be black and it may fit perfect, but you and I both know that's a girl's coat. That literally was my life. They hand me down this brown corduroy jacket, and I'm like, what is this? Why are you giving me Julie's coat? That's your new coat. I'm like, that's not a new coat, that's Julie's coat. They're like, it's brown. It's not pink or anything. I'm like, well, its zipper's on the wrong side. It's a little long. It's fine. It's fine. And then they gave me her teal snow pants. I'm like, I'm pretty sure teal's not a guy color. And don't even try and tell me it's a shade of blue. That's teal, okay? So I'm out doing my paper route in my brown girl coat and my teal snow pants. I gotta take my jacket off, I'm getting heated up. I'm out doing my paper route. Yeah, my brown girl coat, my teal snow pants, and it gets worse. Not fashion-wise, but do you guys remember back with braces when you had the headgear? Oh yeah. So guess who had the headgear? But I didn't have the headgear that just went around the back of your neck. Oh no. I had the headgear that goes up the side of your face, and you wear it over the top of your head, and it creates like when you sleep in it, you hit your hair, you wake up and it's in 4 squares. Yeah. Yeah, that was the headgear I got. Now, the only saving thing about that was I didn't wear it during the day. I only had to wear it certain hours, so I would only wear it at night in my paper route. So there I was, in my teal pants, my brown girl coat, and my headgear. My therapist and I, we're still working through that. I feel like we're doing okay. Yeah, so that was good times. But we had a lot of nice family up there. I particularly enjoyed the Italian side of our family. I had a grandmother, Vincenza Zuzolo, that was a lot of fun. And she lived in Meadville, Pennsylvania, which at the time I thought was way far away. I would have assumed that she lived several hundred miles from us. And the reason for that is, it's not like now when, kids in cars today, they got iPhones, they got portable movies. There certainly wasn't a screen on the back seat of the Rambler, I can tell you, or the Dart. No, you were on your own in the car, and it felt like forever. So I go up there as an adult. Turns out, Meadville, 41 miles. Yeah, 41 miles from Erie. But anyway, I loved going to visit her. She was a lot of fun. I'm like, Grandma, so her name's Vincenza Zuzolo. I'm like, man, you must have been last at everything. I mean, if it's last name first, you're ZU. If it's first name last, you're B. She's like, I don't care, it's fine. But she had a very heavy Italian accent, and I can remember taking her out to dinner, and they're like, oh, I really like your accent. Where's it from? And she's like, it's from Italy. She's like, oh, well, how long have you been here? 56 years. Yeah, she never lost the accent. But she was obviously a very strong Catholic woman. She went to church like 7 days a week. If there was another day, she'd have been there. And I can remember growing up, I didn't really love going to church. And I remember complaining to my mom about it, like, oh my gosh, with the church. She's like, oh, maybe we should do what your grandma did when we were kids. I'm like, what's that? She's like, she would find viewings, and they would just go pray for strangers. They would just show up at someone's viewing and just pray for them. She's like, you want to do that? I'm like, what, 9:30? 9:30 Sunday? Yeah, I'll be there, no problem. I do not want to go pray for strange dead people. I'm good. I'm cool. But speaking of death, my grandma was very lackadaisical about death. And maybe it's because she was such a strong, Catholic woman. She figured, I'm going to heaven, so if it happens, it happens. Whatever, we're all good. But I can remember going to visit one time, and my Aunt Carmela and her boyfriend Tony, I am not making this up. This is not a Sopranos episode. I had an Aunt Carmela. She had a boyfriend. She's like 84, Tony, who was a character, by the way, a character. He was always like fake hitting on my grandma. But I said, hey, let's go see Tony and Carmela. And she was like, no, he's dying. I'm like, he's dying? She's like, yeah, he's dying. It's his time. He's dying. We don't need to go see him. I came home, I called my brother. I'm like, did you know Tony was sick? He's like, yeah, he died yesterday. Oh, I guess no big deal. No big deal in the Zuzolo clan. People just die. But I can also remember at my confirmation, she was very happy. She came, and when I got confirmed, you had to write a letter to the Archbishop about why you chose your sponsor. And I chose my dad as my sponsor because I've always been very close to my dad. So I wrote this really touching letter about my dad. And of all the graduates of the confirmation class, they picked 3 letters, and mine got picked. So they start reading my letter. And I'm like, oh, how about that, Grandma? And she's like, that's your letter. They're reading your letter. I'm like, I'm aware, Grandma, I wrote it. She's like, you shouldn't be a priest. There's a lot you don't know about me, Grandma. I don't think we're quite there yet. No, not really. And I can also remember going to visit her one time. Grandmas always spoil you with food, so I'm sipping my ginger ale. Thanks, Grandma, drinking my ginger ale. She said, you want us some chips? Some chips? You want us some pretzels? Sure. So she opens up the dishwasher, takes out a bag of chips, a couple bag of pretzels. And I'm like, hey, Grandma, that's actually not a storage unit. It's the device that washes dishes. I don't need who it needs it. You don't need it. But she was a lot of fun. And then I also had an Uncle Ken on my dad's side that was kind of fun. I liked Uncle Ken because he liked to drink beer. He always had a beer in his hand. I always thought that was cool. And my dad was not a big beer drinker. And I can remember in college, I stopped by the house to visit my folks. And he just finished mowing the lawn. And he's got 2 beers on the counter. And he's like, drank both those beers today. Whoa, slow down, Dad. 2 beers. I had 2 beers on the way over here. But I liked Uncle Ken. And then, of course, you have your immediate family. I might have touched on it. I have an older brother and I have an older sister. And anybody here have older brothers? Yeah, so I'm sure some of us do. Older brothers, if you're not aware, like to torture their younger siblings, particularly their younger brothers. And mine was no exception. I saw a meme recently, and the meme said, I'm starting to notice that a lot of people have never been chased around the house by a kitchen knife by their brother. Yeah, that was my life. It wouldn't have surprised me a bit if he touched me. So I got the usual torture. One of his tortures was he would pin me on the ground, sit on me, pin my arms down, and call the dog. And the dog just starts licking your face. And you can't stop it, because if you open your mouth to scream, the dog licks inside your mouth. Yeah, that was a favorite of his. Yeah, that was great. That was great. But I think the one that haunts me the most was he was allowed to babysit me one time without my sister there. The first time he was allowed to babysit me without my older sister. And I kid you not, I mean, my parents weren't even out of the neighborhood. He's like, hey, I need to tell you something. I'm like, okay. Those aren't your real parents. They don't love you, and they are never coming back. And he just walks out of the room. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. I'm like, freaking, where's my parents? They're there. I'm crying. And he doesn't let up. He just lets it go on and on. About 10 minutes before they come home, he's like, stop crying, baby. I'm just kidding. Like, yeah, all right. Yeah. My therapist and I are working through that too. Yeah. But I was able to get him back a couple times. One time I could particularly remember was my dad came home with some treats for the dog called people crackers. Get it? Isn't that funny? Animal crackers for people, people crackers for dogs. Very clever. And he proceeds to put them on the kitchen table, because I guess that's his thing, putting things on the table you're not supposed to eat. And of course my brother comes in and just starts eating them. Yeah, he's chowing down on the people crackers. I watch him eat 4 or 5. I'm like, how you like those crackers, Jeff? Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah. Well, the dog loves them. Yeah. She thought they were great. And then the other time he thought he was cool, he's like, hey Jim, punch me. Punch me as hard as you can. Now, a 6 or 7-year-old punching you here in the arm, no matter how hard they do it, it doesn't hurt. And thankfully my dad was in the room, or I wouldn't be alive to tell this story. But he just said punch him as hard as he can. So I reared back and I punched him in the gut as hard as I can. He just doubled and I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? He's like, you're supposed to punch me in the arm. I'm like, you didn't say punch me in the arm. So yeah, I got him a little bit on that. But anyway, so I had a nice childhood growing up in Erie. And then when I was 14, we moved to Atlanta. My dad got transferred to Atlanta. And my brother was like, yeah, let's do it. He was a senior in high school. You'd think he wouldn't be excited. He was popular, senior, but he always wanted to live in the South. He's like, we're moving to Atlanta? Yeah, where are we going? Let me get my stuff. I, however, was like, whoa, back up a little here. I'm not familiar with Atlanta. I'm not familiar with the South. Don't they talk kind of funny down there? Got like kind of funny accents. And what's the high school I'm going to? Sprayberry High School. Great, that's great, Dad, Sprayberry. What's the middle school, Mayberry? It's like, no, actually it's Mabry. Oh, so it's Mayberry misspelled. That's better. That's better. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It was the year of the Atlanta child murders. Remember that, 1980? Yeah. But off we went, and of course it turned out I ended up loving Atlanta. It was a great place to live, and but you know, like moving anywhere, there's cultural differences when you move from like the north to the south. You know, little things like we said pop in the north, and here you say Coke. And we would say you push a button, and Southerners would say you mash a button. Whatever, you know, you get used to it, that's fine. But there were a couple food items I'd never had before that kind of popped up in my life. And the first one was okra. I had never had okra. And I can remember being at a school lunch, and I'm eating my zucchini, and I tell my friend, like, I think the zucchini's gone bad because it's got all these slimy seeds in it. What the hell's going on with the zucchini? He's like, that's okra. I'm like, all right, I've learned, okra. And now, by the way, I love Southern vegetables. Like, I like collard greens and black-eyed peas. And, you know, my wife is a Southern girl. One time we were eating in a place that served Southern food, and I got my collard greens, and I'm dipping my cornbread in it. And she's like, who taught you to do that? I'm like, you put your cornbread in your collard greens like that? I'm like, I don't know. I just did it. She's like, you're one of us now. I'm like, all right, good. So I'm officially a Southerner now. That's nice. But the other experience I had was I went to work in a Mexican restaurant, and I had never heard of a jalapeno. Now, mind you, people, if you've never heard the word jalapeno, how much you think that's spelled, right? H-A-L-E-P-I-N-I-A, jalapeno, yeah, right? So I go to work in a Mexican restaurant, and I was the guy that made all the bulk food, right? Like I made rice, and I made the beans, and I made the guacamole. And they're like, Jim, go in the cooler, get some jalapenos. I'm like, no problem. So I'm in there, 10 minutes, I'm freezing. I come out, I'm like, dude, there are no jalapeno peppers in there. Well, there's a bunch of jalapeno peppers. Will they do? Will they do some jalapeno peppers? Yeah. And that's when my name changed from Jim to Jalapeno. Yeah. Hey, Jalapeno, eat more beans. Jalapeno, get some rice. Had to get another job just to get my identity back. Yeah. It was very humbling. Hold on. So after Atlanta, I took a job with Sealy, and my first territory was Florida, so I got to move to South Florida. And let me divest a little from that a little bit. As I worked through Sealy throughout my career, I started to travel more and more, and I started to fly more and more. And I don't work for Sealy anymore, but I still fly a lot. And I'm just astonished at how ridiculous air travel has gotten. I mean, take out the security lines. And I don't mean to be cynical because I love people, but people at airports are obnoxious. Like, you know what? If it takes you more than 2 minutes to put your bag up and sit down, you're doing something wrong. Just sit down. Put the bag up, sit down. People talking loudly. You know, you're the guys in the seat next to you. Like, yeah, hey, Bill. Yeah, I'm on the plane. Yeah, I go to Tampa. Yeah, I'm on the plane. You need the file? You want the file? It's PowerPoint. Big file. You want me to zip it? Want me to zip the file? Should I PDF it? You want me to zip it? He's eating a chicken wing. Yeah, I'll zip that. I'm like, yeah, you can zip it, jackass. Just stop. Yeah. People wearing pajamas, you know, I'm like, all right already. So when I go to the airport now, I kind of get into mode where I just tune out. Like I put my headphones on and I zone out. It's like airplane mode on your phone, right? You put airplane mode on your phone, it disconnects you. I'm in airplane mode at the airport. And I mean, literally, I walked by my sister-in-law 3 times one time at the airport. She's almost 6 feet tall. It's like, you walked by me 3 times. Like, sorry, airplane mode. I'm in airplane mode. And honestly, I could be on a 3.5-hour flight. And if I got off that plane and the police were there and they said, hey, that woman next to you was a criminal. Could you point her in this lineup? I'd be like, it was a woman? I don't think I could help you. Yeah, no. So I'm not attention to the details of the traveling. Now, my wife, Melissa, very dialed into what goes on around her. She's very dialed in. And I don't know if you guys remember the show Bewitched. Remember Bewitched? I'm dating myself here, but anybody remember Bewitched? Well, I often refer to Melissa as Gladys. Gladys was the neighbor on Bewitched who was always aware. Like, she knew that Samantha was a witch. She knew it. She's always sneaking through the window, and I see what's going on over there. And she's not sneaky, but she knows. We have some neighbors across the street from us. I've never met them. I've seen them. I don't know their names. I know nothing. I mean, our paths haven't crossed. You know, they have an extra car in their driver. She's like, oh, Joe's home from college. Yeah, he's home from college. That's great. Like, they have a son. He's in college. His name's Joe. How do you know these things? And she's great at the beach. She's great at the beach. You know, when you go to the beach and you have the people in the umbrella to the right of you and the people in the umbrella to the left of you, and I work out in the morning and I come down for lunch and she's like, all right, let's talk about these people next to us. Okay, that's Joe and Susan. They're from Washington. He's a lawyer. She's a teacher. That's Caleb and Jonah. They're 2 boys. And that's the nanny. Oh, and that nanny's wearing that little bitty bathing suit, and the mom is not having it. It is not. Oh, really? You picked her up on that in 2 hours, huh? That's great. That's great. But anyway, so going back to living in South Florida, so I moved down to South Florida, and I lived in Southeast Florida. So my territory was Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, and I lived right in the middle of Broward. But yet again, another cultural experience. Southeast Florida, if you've never been there, is absolutely a Seinfeld episode. You know the Seinfeld episodes with the Boca del Vista and the early bird dinners? I can remember my parents coming down. I'm like, hey, dinner's at 5, chop chop. Why are we eating at 5? I'm like, because it's half off. That's why we're eating at 5. Yeah, just let's get going. Yeah. And the retirees down there, they were very angry, just like the Seinfeld episode. Why'd you give him the pen? He asked me for the pen. I mean, they're very angry, and I never understood it. I'm like, they should be happy. I'm like, you're not working. You're living in Florida. Why are you so pissed off all the time? You should be happy. I remember going to New York City, and I was there for work, and I saw a friend of mine. He's like, what brings you to the city? I'm like, just curious what's pissing you people off so bad. Is it the buildings? Is it the concrete? Like, you need to lighten up a little down there. It's a bit much. So, and by the way, and the other thing, you have people that live there full time, and then you would have the snowbirds that would come down, right? The season was roughly like April through October. And you didn't have to tell me when October to April. But you didn't have to tell me when season started. I could tell by the driving pattern. Because Seinfeld, let me revert to him, he said, it's interesting how when you get older, you get smaller, but the car gets bigger. Yeah, so I would just see a lot of Grand Marquis and just like little hands above the steering wheel, like, oh, season started. And they're driving slow, which I don't understand. Seinfeld said this too. He said, why do they drive so slow? They have less time than any of us. They should drive their age. If you're 80, go 80. I understand it. So, and one other thing I want to touch on the octogenarians, I just got to go there. What's with the full-on nudity in the locker room at the gym? What? Apparently, if you're 65 or older, you don't have to put a towel on anymore. Is that the rule? Is that the unwritten law? I don't know if that way in the ladies' room, but it's definitely okay. And let me tell you, they're not just walking around, they're stretching. They're leaning against the bathing suit machine. I'm like, I cannot unsee that. I cannot unsee that.
What is that?
And I swim with a guy named Wayne, and Wayne's talking to me just butt naked. He's got his foot up on the bench. Hey, Jim, how's everything going to work? Yeah, it's going great. Yeah, the company's penis well. Performing well. The company's performing really well. So yeah, I really should put a towel on it, I'm just saying. But the other thing I learned in South Florida was my first sales meeting was in Palm Beach. And there's a very big difference between Palm Beach and Miami. And I go up to Palm Beach and I bring them a nice big breakfast. I got donuts and danishes and fresh fruit and coffee. And I get to my meeting and they're like, where the hell's the bagels? Where's the lox? I'm like, oh, bagels and lox. I did not think of that. All right, I'm learning, I'm getting cultured. So my next meeting is in Miami at Hialeah, and I show up with bagels and lox. Like, what the hell are those? Where's the donuts? I'm like, all right, I'm getting cultured here, people. It takes a little bit of learning. But I love that account, La Canastilla. La Canastilla Cubana was the name of this account. And if you were a Cuban drug lord, this is where you shop. They had bars with fish tanks in them and beds with mirrors on top. But they were a ton of fun. And when I lived down in South Florida, I really tried to learn Spanish. I really worked hard at it. And I thought I was decently proficient. I was not so much. Because I remember I got promoted and I had to turn that account over to the other rep. So I take her to La Canastilla Cubana and we go to the mattress department and it's gone. There are no mattresses anywhere. She's like, call on this account often? I'm like, apparently not. And now, mind you, most of them don't speak English, but there's a maintenance guy that I'm like, hey, don't worry about this. I got the whole Spanish thing going on. So I walk up to the maintenance guy, I'm like, disculpe, ¿dónde están los colchones? And I'm nudging her like, I said, excuse me, where are the mattresses? And then he answered me, and I didn't get one word of it. Not one word. I mean, he just sprouted off words. She's like, thank God you weren't asking for my heart medication, or I'd be dead. Yeah, sorry about that. But one thing I get a kick out of it, I've learned a lot more Spanish now. I'm much better at it. But I get a kick out of the random use of Spanish words in songs, in pop and rock songs. Two that come to mind. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the song Vertigo by U2. You might know that song. Certainly you know the band. But in that song, they do a countdown at the beginning. And he goes, uno, dos, tres, catorce. And he starts jamming. And I'm like, what? Most elementary school kids can count to 6 in Spanish. Like, they just went 1, 2, 3, 14. Yeah. What happened to 4 through 13? I don't know. Like, we're the biggest band in the world. We just go right to 14. That's how we roll. Yeah. We're U2. But my favorite is the Shakira song, Hips Don't Lie, featuring Wyclef Jean. I love songs with the featuring. You get the featuring, you're gonna hit. Roger, we need someone featuring in our songs. Then we could get something nailed down. I feel good about it. So I'm imagining this meeting with Wyclef Jean and Shakira. So he goes to the meeting and he's like, all right, here's how the song's gonna go. Here's how I envision it, Shakira. It's gonna go like this. I'm gonna say your name a couple times, be like Shakira, Shakira. Then I'm gonna say, I never knew anyone could dance like this. You make me want to speak Spanish. And then I'm going to say 3 random words in Spanish. And then you start singing. And she's like, okay, cool. And that is exactly what happens in that song. He says, Shakira, Shakira, I never knew anyone could dance like this. You make me want to speak Spanish. Como se llama? Mi casa bonita. And then she starts singing. I'm like, what? What did he just say? What did he just say? Those are the most random words. So he said, first thing he says is, what's your name? But he just said Shakira twice. I'm like, I think you know her name. You just said Shakira. Shakira, what's your name? I think you got that down. Then he says, my house in pretty. What the hell does that mean? My house? Do you have a pretty house? Is she pretty? You want her to come to your house? Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like, But then, even better, she says in English, she says, oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. I'm like, really? Wait a minute, that's what makes beautiful Latin women go mad? Because had I known that living in Miami, I would have been like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, uno, baño, cerveza. Yeah, you want to make out? Yeah, cool, that's great. And then I wonder when he toured, like, did he say 3 other random words? Like, Shakira, Shakira, car, bus, plane. Did she start singing? But, that got me thinking, too, about how marketing campaigns come about. And I'm not a marketer by any means, but I'm certainly intrigued by some of the things I see. And one that comes to mind is cornflakes. Now, you recall Wheaties. We all know Wheaties, right? Wheaties is a healthy cereal. It's made from wheat, and it's healthy. It's not all sugary. So they're like, hey, let's put Olympic athletes and accomplished athletes. They got Michael Jordan. They got Olympic athletes. And that's great. That is great marketing. To this day, people say, oh man, that Jim, he must have had his Wheaties today, huh? Yeah? Totally worked, right? Well, then Kellogg's comes out with cornflakes. And I'm trying to imagine this marketing meeting. Like, okay, all right, so here's the deal. We got the cornflakes. We got a healthy cereal. It's going to be important how we brand this box. It's going to be in thousands of stores across the country. What we put on this box matters, okay? So we can't do athletes. Wheaties has got the athlete thing. All right, what do you got? Joe, Bill, Susan, what do you got? Bill's like, I got it. A chicken. We should put a chicken on the box. And they did. They put a chicken on the box. I don't get that. Like, goats eat wheat, but you don't see a goat on the Wheaties box. And had I been in that meeting, I would have been like, Bill, everything okay at home? I know divorce is hard. Divorce is hard, Bill, but let's focus. No more talking about putting chickens on boxes, okay? We got work to do here. But no, it's still there to this day. To this day. And the other one that intrigues me is the Faded Glory brand at Walmart. So, and again, I'm not picking at Walmart. I like the Walmart. I shop at Walmart. Hard to buy clothes there, though, because one time I was out of town, I needed a bathing suit, and I got a large, and I went to put them on, and I scratched my head, my pants fell off, because they're like 3 sizes too large. I don't know. It was awkward. It was awkward. Yeah, I'm just saying. So I'm imagining this meeting, and they're like, okay, everybody, we're coming out with a clothing line. It's going to be value priced, a lot of plus sizes. We need a name. Susan, you got an idea? Faded Glory? Faded Glory. Love it. Let's do that. That brand exists today. Yeah. And you know, what amazes me about this is these are large, multi-billion-dollar, this isn't crazy Kevin Powell. These guys have resources at their disposal, and that's the best they can do. So another one that comes to mind is McDonald's. So McDonald's wants to appeal to children. So they need some characters, right? Ronald McDonald. I get it. He's a little creepy, but I get it. Ronald McDonald. Mayor McCheese? Nice, that works. The Hamburglar? Love the Hamburger. He's a burglar. He steals hamburgers. He's the Hamburglar. Yeah. But what I want to know is when they're sitting around like, okay, we need one more character, and Steve's over there like, I got it. What about a big purple blob, kind of diamond shape, with like a big mouth and goofy eyes? Yeah, I like it, but we need a name. What about Grimace? How about Grimace? Yeah. Do you know what the definition of grimace is? It's a twisted, ugly expression of pain or disgust. Yeah. Hold on, I brought some props to everybody. And that's apparently what this is. Yeah, that's apparently what that is. So that feels a little phoned into me. I didn't spare any expense for you guys, by the way. That's in color. Those of you in the back. Yeah, only the best. And the other one that intrigues me was when they came up with those playgrounds back in the late 70s and early 80s. I'd love to have been in that meeting, what kind of mushrooms those guys were taking. Like, okay, we need some playground stuff. Let's start brainstorming. It would be great if we can incorporate our characters into the playground. And then we're like, okay, hold on, Dan, you got something? Yeah. What about a hot metal jail in the shape of the head of a hamburger man? First of all, I love it. Let's make it happen. All right, people, that exists. I'm not making that up. The hamburger, yeah, the hot metal jail made of the head of a hamburger man. Yeah, those existed. And in fact, Grimace got his own hot metal cage too. Yeah. Do you see this? This little girl saying best day ever. Best day ever. She's about to go to Hamburger Head. She's about to go to Hamburger Head, maybe Grimace's head. We don't know. Could go either way. By the way, speaking of best day ever, I have to say, so I have a friend, she's here tonight, Carrie. Carrie's so positive and outgoing, and she loves to say best day ever. She says it. And I'm like, Carrie, every day can't be the best day ever. Whatever, I love your attitude. But she says best day ever on things that we wouldn't think of as best day ever. Like, she'll be like, 35-mile bike ride on this beautiful day. Best day ever. I'm like, Carrie, if you think a 35-mile bike ride is the best day ever, then I need to introduce you to day drinking in the beach. Because there's a lot of things that are more fun than that. But anyway, you can see how this all relates to South Florida. We got a little sidetracked there, but it was in the plan. So after living in South Florida, I got promoted back to Atlanta. So I moved back to Atlanta, and I lived in a part of town that was right in between a really bad part of town and a really nice part of town. There was a small sliver where I lived. And I was a youth mentor. Oh my God, he mentored children too? Yeah, I did. So I'm a youth mentor, and I have this young man, Jerome, who's probably 9 or 10 years old, young African-American kid, and we need to get gas, and we're in a really bad part of town. And I happen to have a kind of fancy car at the time. I had a Lexus. I was all bad. So there I am in the gas station with a 10-year-old African-American boy pumping gas in the middle of a very rough part of town, and thinking I'm going to get knifed or something. And I get in the car, and he's like, Jim, I think those people are looking at me. I'm like, Jerome, it's not you they're looking at, buddy. I'm pretty sure it's me they're looking at, but we survived that. We survived that. And I had one other instance where I almost got in trouble when I was trying to do something nice. When I was living in South Florida, my boss calls and she says, Jim, I hate to ask this of you, but my son is sick at school. I've got a customer in the showroom. Could you drive him home, pick him up? I know you're in Coral Springs today. Could you pick him up and drive him home? And by the time you get home, I'll be there. I'm like, no problem. So I go pick him up at school. He's probably 7 years old. I don't know, I'm not good with ages, but he was somewhere around there. And he gets in my car, and he immediately throws up all over himself. We're not in there 5 seconds. The first thing I'm thinking is, I'm getting a good bonus this year for sure. It's going to be a good bonus year. So mind you, I'm 20-something years old. I'm not used to kids, but I'm like, I can't have him standing here with her all over himself. We got to fix the situation. And I had a tie on, a shirt and tie and an undershirt. And I'm like, you know what? I'll take my undershirt off. I'll give him my undershirt, and that'll fix this problem. So we go into the Wendy's bathroom. We take our shirts off, and that's when I realized I might not have thought that thing through. Being shirtless in the Wendy's bathroom with a 7-year-old. Like, oh my God! Put that shirt on before I go to jail. This is not good. This is not good at all. No, it's not going to end well. So, you know, it's a funny thing about kids, too. Like, I have kids, I love kids, but in general, I don't like to be around a lot of kids, just being honest. Sometimes when you travel, the whole point of traveling is to get away from them, right? But because of that, kids are naturally drawn to me. Because they know I don't want to be around them, they're naturally attracted to me. It's like some pheromone I emit or something. Now, I will say, I do like to hold babies. I love to hold babies. But, you know, you can't just go up to people like, hey, that's a cute baby. Can I hold that baby? I'll hold that baby. Yeah, I'll go to jail again. Yeah. But by the way, I did have one opportunity. I was flying overseas one time, and this poor woman, she's got 2 little kids and a baby, and she's trying to get them into the bathroom, and I know she has to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, would you like me to hold your baby so you can go to the bathroom? She's like, yeah. I mean, what am I going to do, run off to the cockpit with this baby? Like, I got him! But it was this cute little girl, and she had these big blue eyes. It was so funny. I hold her. I'm all excited, like, got a baby. And she wasn't intimidated by me or cried, but she was just fascinated by me. She had these big eyes. She just stared at me the whole time. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. This guy's kind of holding me. It's kind of weird. But anyway, I love the babies, but I don't particularly like being around a lot of kids. But like I said, they're naturally drawn to me. I was once walking down at Six Flags, and I'm walking along, and some kid just grabs my hand. I got a kid. I caught a child. I'm going to go to jail again. Like, what the hell? Why are you on my hand? I guess I look like her dad from behind. Good looking guy. Oh, hang on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so kids so now I've decided, you know what? I'm going to have a little fun with these kids. Harmless fun, but fun. So I've created an alias for myself, Max Power. And so I'm at the beach with my son, and we're walking out into the waves, and sure enough, I'm not 2 feet in the water. Boom, kid beelines up. Hey, you like the beach? I like the beach. The waves are bigger. Yes, I like big waves. You like to fish? We're from Alabama. That's my sister over there. I can't say my sister. She's a jerk. What's your name? I'm like, Max Power. Wow, that is a cool name. And my son is just like, oh my God. I hope we run into these people later. This is going to be awkward. But probably my favorite instance was we were at a friend's house, and they converted their basement into like a playground for their kids. They had a bouncy house in their basement. I mean, it was out of control. So all the kids are downstairs, everybody's jumping around the bouncy house, and the power goes out. And it is pandemonium. The bouncy house is deflating, kids are screaming, parents are screaming, Billy, Mommy, and they're all, and I'm cracking up, because they're not gonna suffocate in the bouncy house, but it was pandemonium. We all have our little iPhones. And the lights come on, and we're sitting on the deck, and I'm having a beer. Sure enough, some strange kid comes up to me. He's like, hey, why do you think that power went out? I'm like, probably something you did. And he just turned around and walked off. Melissa's like, Jim, stop. Like, you know these people. It's being ridiculous. So anyway, I lived in Atlanta, had a great time there, and then we moved to North Carolina. And I love it here. And it's a great place to live. And when I moved here, my brother was giving me a lot of flack about living here. He's like, oh man, you're moving out in the country. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, there may be a Shetland pony farm outside of my neighborhood, but I don't know. I wear that as a badge of honor. I'm proud of the Shetland pony farm. I like it. But I'm like, yeah, Jeff, it's horrible. Yeah, I live on an acre of land. My house is twice as big as your house. It's half as much money. The taxes are less. I'm an hour from the mountains. I'm 3 hours from the beach. Oh my God, the traffic here. Oh, that's right, Jeff. There's no traffic here. Yeah. What was I thinking? But you know, it's funny. I mentioned that he picked on me a lot when I was a kid, but as adults, we're very close friends. But he's never come to visit me. I'm like, you know, that hurts a little, Jeff. You know, I've been here 7 years. Never been to my house. But I know why, because he's single now, and he's on Match.com. He's like, are you familiar with the Match.com? Hopefully you married people are familiar with the Match.com. A friend of yours told you about it. But yeah, he's obsessed with it, and it's like nonstop, relentless dating. I had a friend of mine call me. He's like, hey, Jim, I happen to be talking to him. He's like, hey, Jim, I don't know if Facebook always imitates life, but if it does, I think your brother might need a new liver. I'm like, yeah. He might need to do something else, because something's about to fall off if he doesn't start quieting it down up there a little bit. It's getting a little out of control. Yeah. So one night, he's at a young lady's house, and he leaves late in the evening. And apparently Match.com is like Facebook. When you're on it, people can see that you're on it. So he leaves this woman's house at 3 in the morning, and while he's at the intersection, pulls up Match.com. He's already looking for the next big thing, right? Well, I think she suspected it, and she got on. So she calls him, and they were supposed to go to the Bahamas together. You know, I thought this was going to be the one. And she's like, hey, jackass, you don't leave a woman's bed at 3 in the morning and get on Match.com. I'm like, well, what did you say? He's like, are we still going to the Bahamas then? Not so much. But he's finally settled down. He's met a great girl. I really like her. I'm like, Jeff, don't blow this. Do not blow this. She's great. You've been saying you want to settle down. He's like, yeah, it's really great. But, you know, all my friends call me, and they're like, we're at Avalon. Where are you at? He's like, I don't know. We're making chili, watching House of Cards. I'm like, just stay with it, Jeff. Stay with it. It's important. But anyway, we live here in North Carolina. We have 2 children of our own. We have an 11-year-old girl and a 14-year-old boy. And like a lot of parents, I'm amazed at how different my children are. And it's not just gender and age. They're just very different kids. And I hear it from a lot of parents. So my son is very literal, very cerebral, very pragmatic. My daughter just wants to wear cute things, have a lot of fun, you know, which is good. You need the contrast, right? Although she was literal about one thing. I told her as we were driving to cheerleading, I said, hey, I told her about this. I'm like, hey, Charlotte, I'm going to be doing like stand-up comedy over at the Bistro. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it's going to go online. I'm probably going to be famous. Yeah. And she likes Ellen. I'm like, probably going to make it on Ellen. I think I'm going to be on Ellen. She's like, you're not going to be on Ellen, Dad. I'm like, you don't know. Why you got to crush my dreams. You don't know if I'm going to be on Ellen? And I told her, I'm like, honey, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to be on Ellen. But yeah, but you know, by the way, I just said that, not to brag that I'm doing stand-up comedy, but it's just hard to talk to your kids the older they get, right? Like, I don't know what to say to an 11-year-old girl, but my son, you would think, I've been a 14-year-old boy. You think I know how to talk to him? I got nothing. I'm like, how about that Fortnite's pretty cool, huh? You like the Fortnite? Fortnite's good. Do you guys, is skateboarding still a thing? You like the skateboarding? I got nothing. But yeah, so Melissa comes home, she's like, by the way, Charlotte's worried about you. I'm like, why is she worried about me? She's like, she thinks you're going to be really sad because you think you're going to be on Ellen. Yeah, took that a little bit literally. Which reminds me of the story of my son. So he's in the car one day, and he put the dome light on a couple times. And I said, Jack, don't put the dome light on. You know, I can't see when you do that. But I said, more importantly, it's against the law. I could get a ticket. I could go to jail. Too pretty to go to jail, Jack. And the next day we're driving around, and there's some prisoners cleaning up trash, and he's like, man, a lot of people left their dome light on, huh? Apparently so. Apparently so, Jack. That's why you follow the rules. And another funny story is we were reading a book, and it was called The Halloween Parade. You might remember that book, huh? And it's cute. We get to the page where there's the actual parade, and he just starts naming the characters. He's a little kid, he's like 7 or something. He's like, ooh, look at this. Nurse, fireman, homeless guy, clown. Whoa. Homeless guy? What's with the homeless guy? He's like, it's a homeless guy. I'm like, no, that's a hobo, Jack. He's like, well, what's a hobo? I'm like, well, a hobo is... You know what? We should read the dinosaur book. The dinosaur books are good. You like the dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are great. Yeah. So he really liked dinosaurs, and we read a lot of dinosaur books. And I can remember when Charlotte was in elementary school, she had this cute little play. And it was a Christmas play, and you were either a gingerbread man or a baker. So we get in the car. She's probably 3. He's probably 6 or 7. And she says, Jack, do you want to be a gingerbread man or baker? And he says, I want to be a paleontologist. Yeah, and that about summed him up. But that's all I have, guys. Thank you so much, and it's getting hot in here. It's been great.